I have finally given in to peer pressure and I've done something that you've all been asking for. I've bought a Japanese Superbike and it's a complete wreck. So we've picked up this 2023 Yamaha R1. It's a stock R1. Picked it up at auction yesterday and I thought I had a bargain, and that's until I looked a little bit deeper. And that's because this bike was actually classed as a repairable write-off, which means I can put it back on the road or I can build a track bike. But I think those options have narrowed somewhat because I've found some damage that I think the insurance company missed. So let me show you what I mean, because this bike has actually got a small amount of structural damage. Just here, there's actually a section where it's ripped out the frame slider out of the frame, and it's taken a part of the actual thread and a little bit of the edge of the frame just there with it. So this makes my decision a little bit harder, and I wanted to put the decision to you guys. So the real decision is, do I build a road bike or do I build another track bike? And there's some pros and cons to each, so let's go through them. Okay, but first let's run through some of the damage. The entire front frame, front subframe, front fairing is completely destroyed. The mirrors, you can see the one on the left is pretty badly scratched up, that would need replacing. The one on the right actually looks like it's okay, but the entire front fairing is gone. So that includes the actual front subframe. So the subframe that holds the dash in place is broken, completely snapped off in the top here. And the dash, when I got the bike, was actually zip tied to the back mudguard. So I had to reinstall that just to check and see if we even had a dash that worked, because that would have been another $1,000 to $2,000. What else? Come back further here. The left-hand side of the bike has had a massive, massive hit, and it's actually twisted this bar backwards. So all of the controls on this bar can't be trusted, so I'm going to assume that the actual clip-on here is completely bent. So a new clip-on on the left-hand side. The rear subframe has been snapped in half. So I think the bike has probably flipped over onto its left-hand side, and just here where it's supposed to join is completely snapped. So the frame is twisted and snapped right here. Which means if you look at the bike lengthways, the front of the bike, so the tank, looks like it's pretty straight, but this section at the back is actually twisted. So I'm gonna need a new rear subframe, and that's not ideal and it's not cheap. A lot of the actual switches, the plugs on the left-hand side here are damaged. So hopefully I can salvage some of these, but you can see just there how that plug itself is still held together, but it's not too great. So I'm gonna need to double check all of the loom all the way through the left-hand side of the bike. All of the fairing on the left-hand side of the bike is damaged. Most of it was just hanging off the bike when I got the bike. So even to get the bike on the trailer from the salvage yard, I had to take all the loose bits of plastic off it. The engine guard on the left-hand side here, I think this is the alternator cover. This has also had a massive scrape. As have the rear sets. So the rear sets have just taken a massive pounding on the road. So you can see these are ground right down to nothing. We're gonna get rid of these rear sets anyway because they are stock and we don't like to do things stock. So that's just a touch of what's wrong with this bike. Let's have a look at some of the good things. Pretty obviously, one of the best things is this bike is almost new, and I was hoping it had done really low kilometers. But after plugging the dash in, it's actually done 20,000 K. So again, not an overly bad thing, but it's gonna influence our decision for road or track. But it's a 2023 model bike, so this is probably the newest build I think I've ever done. Aside from that, The frame itself looks like it's straight if we disregard the front frame and the rear subframe. It's got, if you pop around here and have a look, what looks to be a full SC Project titanium system. So I'm not sure if these came out stock with titanium headers or what, but look at that. And this thing looks like it's hardly touched, even though the rear set on this side has also took a grinding in the crash. Another good thing is the engine on this side looks like it's perfect. So once we put some engine guards on there, that'll be a job done. I would love to do a clear clutch cover, but I can't find one. So let me know in the comments if you know anyone that does an R1 clear clutch cover. So if I can sort out that frame issue, which I'm hoping is nowhere near as big as I think it is, and if I can replace the rear subframe and the front subframe, that'll be my biggest issue sorted. And then really it's down to you guys as to what you think I should do, road or track. So I've also just put a new battery in because the old battery was completely dead. And I'll put a little bit of fuel in the tank. I don't want to go too crazy. I've already got some oil and oil filter to do a quick service on this bike, because if we can get it running, that is a major, major selling point. I mean, if the insurance company says it's repairable, then it's got to run, yeah? It does come with a key, although the key is bent. Okay, so we've got dash power. And it all looks to be perfect there, but will the bike actually start? Keep your fingers crossed. And this is going to be loud too, by the way. Okay, I'm going to open the garage door. That is super loud, but it starts and the lights work, which is a massive bonus, because if I do decide to build a track bike build, I could sell those lights for about $1,000. Okay, let's try that again. I'm not gonna run it too long, and it's smoky as hell in here, but that sounds awesome. That is super, super loud. I'm guessing this pipe is pretty much just a straight pipe all the way through to the headers. So yeah, we've got a bit of smoke coming out the rear. Right, so next up, we're gonna strip the bike down, see what's salvageable, see what's not, because I can guarantee you there is a lot more that is not salvageable than I was originally intending, that came from the salvage report. Fingers crossed. Now stop me if this sounds stupid, but this rear frame, if I was to put this back on track, this tiny little connection piece here isn't actually doing anything, because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 struts across the subframe which hold it together anyway. And it's only this tiny little back section here which is twisted. So I'm wondering if I can get something in here and twist it back. Look at that, it's already straight. So that might save me $700. So this is pretty much everything I've taken off the bike so far. I don't think I'll strip it down any further just yet. We're gonna wait for parts. But the story is not good. So the one thing I was hoping would be salvageable is this headlight. Unfortunately, the edge of the park light is cracked and all of the housing is also cracked. So it's got multiple cracks throughout here. You can see here it's not even held together. Super expensive part of kit. So the problem with Australia is that if I want to put this bike back on the road, I have to use OEM genuine Yamaha parts to pass inspection. Now, that alone, full setup there is about $2 grand. For the wing mirrors, I've got to get new wing mirrors as well because the right-hand one is completely busted. I've got to get new screen. And pretty much all of the fairings are in this state where they are cracked, smashed, and all the fixtures and fittings are broken. So I'm gonna say pricing up this build has just gone up by about $3,000 if we want to put it back on the road. And that's not ideal. So I am leaning towards a track bike build, but again, I haven't made that decision yet. So we're gonna continue on with cleaning this bike, getting it ready. I'm not gonna worry about filming that for you. But in the meantime, I'm gonna start ordering some parts, the essential parts that I need. So hope you enjoyed this. It's gonna be an awesome build series. We've still gotta think about the design. I've got some ideas in my head, but I won't share them just yet. And yeah, if you can think of where I can get that clear clutch cover, let me know. Drop a comment as well if your vote is to track bike it or to road bike it. And stay tuned, like, subscribe, you know the drill. Thank you for watching.